Betty Cole.
I'm Kelvin Cole, Betty's husband.
I was 10 years old when my mom and dad moved from Suttons Bay to Traverse City. And so we joined, I'm sure, Bethlehem Lutheran Church at that particular time.
I'm a Lutheran by marriage, and probably the reason I went to the Lutheran Church because I was going with Betty, and that was another time I could be with her if I went to church. And I went to lessons at this is at the Washington Church, and I took lessons there to be a Lutheran, and Betty and I were married in Lutheran Church on Washington Street. Older people were there.
A lot older.
And many of them were second generation immigrants, and some of them were they had a hard time speaking English. There were many Swedes and Norwegians and Germans, and it was probably a closer type of church because it was smaller.
When we were in the church on Washington Street, I remember Pastor Carlson being the minister, and we needed a new organ, and we got our new organ, and the Sunday school class was all able to go and stand around the organ, but we couldn't get real close to it because we might scratch it. And he was very, very protective of this beautiful organ that we finally got.
The Lutherans didn't have spaghetti suppers. That was Irish. These were Swedes and Lutherans and Germans. And they had smorgasbords. And I remember the smorgasbords, and they, like I say, they were many second generation immigrants, and they all knew how to cook for Swedes, and we had a lot of good food. And in fact, it was so good that the people from town would come to from other churches, wanted to come to our smorgasbords. And it was always a big crowd, but it was all old Swedish and Norwegian foods.
Lots of good Scandinavian food. Yeah. When our first Sunday in this parish, the cross was up, everything was beautiful. And they decided that something was missing. And so they went and got the statue from the old church and put it on.
Statue of Christ.
Christ, yeah. And then they put it there, and it looked complete.
The choir was up front in that side. It was on the side there. You couldn't see the choir. And the organ was on the was facing the altar on the left-hand side in the wall. And it was that way for a long time. Then when they moved the choir loft upstairs, and that was a big change. And when they built the Sunday school, that was built below grade. And when they was down there, they ran into water. And they was thinking they was going to have to fill it in. And I remember I came over to the pastor. He said, "Cal," I said, "we're going to fill it in." And I was on the council at the time. And I spoke a few words that probably wasn't the right words. But then he was just joking because they did decide to do some work on it.
And we were involved when our children were teenagers, and they went to camp and canoeing and all the good stuff, and camping, and they had a good time, and we were always involved in that.
They had a big youth group,
When Pastor Darling was here.
and they had what they called the Blue Goose. They
Oh,
had
the
their
bus.
own bus, and
Yeah.
the kids used to get in the bus and go to other churches and in town, out of town, and they even went to out of town and stayed overnight and slept in the church. I mean, the church went, like all churches, went through many ups and downs.
We were invited to the wedding reception, and the minister came, whoever we had, must have been Nelson, came late, and Cal said, "Oh boy," he said, "that's the first time I ever seen a minister that was late when he had something to eat." I said, "Cal."
She was embarrassed.